guys, today we're going to talk about the MVP race. So, I was dead wrong about the Patriots game. First time I admit that before I talk about the MVP race. Should have picked the Bills. Man, didn't see that coming. No punts in the game for the Bills. Completely dominated. But, now let's talk about the MVP. It really should be down to three people. Matthew Stafford, unfortunately, hasn't even been really mentioned, even though he threw 41 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. That's the best season he's had in a long time. His best season was in Detroit, was in 2011. He threw for 5,000 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions. There's only one other season where he threw for more yards than what he threw for this year, and he didn't do that good that year, but he had 4,886 yards this year. And in the against the playoff teams he played the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals, ranked defense 5th and 6th respectively. He threw 9 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He played them twice, so 4 appearances, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And against all playoff teams he played, which he played the most playoff teams because he had to play those teams twice, he had 17 touchdowns, I believe. Hold on. 17 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. However, Tom Brady faced the 1st, 2nd, 8th ranked defense in respect, and he had, let's see, 9 touchdowns and 3 picks against those 5 teams who made the playoffs. Respectively, he had 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions against the number 1 ranked defense, the Bills. He didn't have any touchdowns against the Patriots, but Tom Brady had an amazing year. He had 43 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He also threw for, let's see, sorry about that. He threw for 5,316 yards. He had a 102.1 QBR rating, slightly lower than Stafford's 102.9. And it's the most yards he's thrown for in a season other than 2011. He had 5,235 yards, 39 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 105.6 QBR rating. And like I said, he did pretty good. He 1st, 2nd, 8th ranked defense. Philadelphia, 8th ranked defense. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 interceptions against them. He had 269 yards against New England, but he didn't have any touchdowns or interceptions. And obviously against the Bills, he had 2 touchdowns and he had 363 yards. That was one of his best games. So Aaron Rodgers, here's the guy that probably will win it, honestly. He had, let's see, against Arizona, he had 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions the first time. Well, that's the only time I played him. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions against San Francisco. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions against Pittsburgh. He also, Chicago had a really good ranked defense. Even though they didn't make the playoffs, he had 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But Stafford also had a good game against Chicago with 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 321 yards. And that's just the thing. Stafford's not even in the race at all. I think that's a little disrespectful. Brady had 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions against Chicago. Obviously, they didn't make the playoffs, but they had one of the best ranked defenses, so I think that one should be mentioned. But really, when it comes down to it, it's Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers. You're talking 43 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 5,316 yards, versus Aaron Rodgers having 37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4,115 yards. It's also, the thing about it is, it's not Aaron Rodgers' best year by far. He's had over 4,000 yards before. It's one of the best as far as interceptions. He's had 4 interceptions in a season before. Last year he had 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 4,299 yards, 121.5 QBR rating. He has a 111.9 QBR rating. But, I mean, 37-4 is really good. I guess it just depends on how you look at the stats, and how you feel about it, and how you feel about the teams that they played that made the playoffs. But most of his picks came against New Orleans, who didn't make the playoffs. New Orleans did have, I'm pretty sure, a really good ranked defense. Let's look. well, 18th ranked defense, but even Tom Brady, I think, how did he do against New Orleans? He didn't play New Orleans. Okay, so that's one he didn't even play. Stafford, though, had 1 interception against New Orleans the first time, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions that game. The next time, Rodgers only played him once. Stafford, not bad stats against him for the most part. Not the best, but Aaron Rodgers obviously had his worst game of his career. One of his worst, maybe not his worst. 2 interceptions, 133 yards. He played horrible against New Orleans in the opener. Cost me a fantasy game, fantasy football. But, I mean, that was half of his interceptions, and then he had 1 against Cincinnati and Seattle. Other than that, he was flawless. But it just really depends on how you look at their schedules and how hard all the schedule was ranked all together, or just the playoff teams. Those are the best teams they played. And Brady played the number 1 defense and the number 2. Like I said, he didn't get any touchdowns against the Patriots, but he had 2 against Buffalo. And Brady's just so good. I just think it's hard not to let Brady say Brady should be the MVP when he put up those kind of numbers. It's over 1,000 yards more than what Rodgers passed for, 6 more touchdowns. I mean, he had 8 more interceptions, but what's not to say Rodgers could have more interceptions if he was trying to get more touchdowns and more yards. 1,000 may not be a big difference to a lot of people, but it seems like a lot more. He was almost halfway to 6,000, so I think that's a great accomplishment for Brady. I personally think he should win. Rodgers will probably win, but in my opinion, Tom Brady should be the MVP this year. I want to know what you guys think. Please like, share, comment. Let me know what you think. If you agree, disagree, who you think should win it. And alright guys, you have a great night. Be safe.